السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته نحمد ونصلي على رسول الكريم أما بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Today we will be going over the chapter about Ghusl, which is taking the bath, which is both spiritual and physical. You know, we take a shower every day anyway, so we should make it a practice that we bring in doing Ghusl into this. So about the water. So the first thing is obviously the water we're using. It's very important that the water we're using be pure. The water which wudu and ghusl has been made has to be pure water. It has to be tahir. It's not allowed, we're not allowed to make wudu or ghusl with impure water. Water which dogs, pigs, or animals of prey drink from is considered najas, impure. The water which cats drink from immediately after eating a mouse, this is also considered impure. Water left by a person who has just drunk wine or any alcoholic beverages, this is also considered najas. Water which has been left over after drinking by human beings or halal animals, it is considered tahir and pure to use. All types of water become najas if najasa falls into them. For example, somebody drops like some urine inside of the water, it becomes impure. So two types of water which are considered pure even in this case. One is flowing water, like the water of a sea or ocean or a lake, and water which is stored in a very large quantity, like a reservoir or a huge tank. So these types of waters, they don't acquire impurity. And then there's obviously a calculation, which for most of us is not, most of us, I don't think we have a reservoir at home. So any animal or bird which has flowing blood falls into the water of a small quantity and dies will make this water najas, impure. So we cannot use that water. The water of a big tank and reservoir can also become najas. It can become impure when the taste, the color, or smell becomes apparent. For example, a large amount of animals fall in. Then obviously the color will become dirty, the smell will become dirty, and there will be an apparent look. You can look at it and tell that this water is impure. So we have to, we live in this country. Even then, a lot of times what happens is we will see that the water sources get contaminated. It happens. And when a water source gets contaminated, the water will have a bad smell, and we should find out what is the reason behind this? Because not only for the purpose of wudu or ghusl, but also for the purpose of your health, you may drink water which is not good for you. So, we should be careful of these things. So what are the fara'id of ghusl? And there's 3 fara'id of ghusl. We discussed this a few weeks ago, where we shared the story of the Sheikh Sayyid Rahman, where he was in a group, a large group in a masjid, and he asked people, what are the 3 fara'id of ghusl? And an individual said, soap, water, and a towel. And he said, everybody laughed, but he said this is important that we should know what are the fara'id of ghusl. And last week we discussed najasa, we discussed impurities. And for example, if somebody has a wet dream, or if somebody urinates on themselves, or anything, so on and so forth, when we discuss all the classifications. But for example, if somebody has a wet dream, or somebody has acceptable relations with their spouse, or any sort of sexual relations, after this, ghusl becomes lazim. It becomes incumbent that you have to do it. So what are the 3 things which you have to do? And some of the madhab, maybe they have some small differences, but this is according to the Ahnaf. You have to pass water into the mouth and gargle. That is the first thing which we have to do, which is gargling. The next thing is putting water into the nostrils and making sure the nostrils get fully cleaned. And that the third one is passing water over the entire body. Now this is very important, that when we're doing ghusl, we have to make sure that we don't even leave a hair's amount dry. That we have to make sure that the whole body gets completely washed all the way through. Some men, they may have dreadlocks and things like this. They also have to make sure that their dreadlocks get fully cleaned all the way to the deepest part, that we cannot leave it dry. This is the requirement from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, these are things which we can do while we are taking our normal shower, right? There's no thing like that says that you cannot use soap or anything like that, or you can't use a body wash or something. do the ghusl first and then do your regular shower. You want to take a long time. We shouldn't waste water, obviously, when we're in the shower. But if somebody is like a long shower taker, you can do whatever you want, but just make sure you do your ghusl first. And you can, fulfill one of the sunnahs of the Prophet ﷺ and do ghusl every day before you leave for work or whatever. And then obviously we have to, in the olden times, maybe it was not as easy. Access was not as easy. Or even right now, for example, in Gaza, the access to water is not as easy. So people may not be doing ghusl. That is the next chapter. We'll go over tayammum. What are the 5 sunnahs of ghusl? Washing the hands up to the wrist. Washing the private parts and the parts over which uncleanliness is found. In normal ghusl, because we're washing the whole body, we're going to wash it anyway. But making sure that we clean this is also considered a sunnah. Intention to wash off impurities and become pure. This is a sunnah, very simple. Intention to wash off. Just the intention is a sunnah. We get hasanat for that, good deeds. Making wudu before washing the body. That we can go to the basin or from the water we can make wudu. This is also from amongst the sunnah. Then passing water over the whole body thrice. That this is one of the sunnahs. Where should somebody make ghusl? What should somebody do during ghusl? Like some of the rules. Ghusl should be made in a place of total privacy. That you shouldn't do ghusl in a public place. You shouldn't, be publicly exposing yourself anyway. But you should especially be careful about these things. Ghusl may be performed standing or seated. Use a sufficient amount of water. Do not skimp, nor should you be wasteful. That we should be very careful, especially with water. That, like I said, some of the shuyukh, they teach people how to do wudu out of 1 bottle of water. It is better not to read any kalima or ayah while bathing. Performing ghusl, one should make the intention that I am performing ghusl to become pure. And this doesn't have to be like you say it from your tongue. It can be in your mind or in your heart. And we should just keep that in mind. Okay, the procedure for performing ghusl. Now I know these things are very very basic or very dry, but these are things we should keep in mind because we're trying to purify ourselves, right? Somebody has a wet dream or somebody has jais relations with their wife. After this becomes incumbent on you. You cannot pray. You cannot come to the inside of the masjid, inside of the musalla. You shouldn't walk around in public. What if your death comes at any time and you're in a state of impurity? Things like this, we should keep these in mind because we never know when somebody's going to pass away. Okay, we should wash both hands up to the wrist. Now this is including the sunnahs. Wash the private parts. The hands and the private parts should be washed even if one is not in a state of janaba, and even though there may be no najasa impurity on the private parts. If there is impurity elsewhere on the body, it should be washed off. Perform wudu. If one is making ghusl on a stool or platform where water will rapidly flow away, then perform the complete wudu. If there is a fear of the feet being dipped in the wastewater during ghusl, because sometimes if you're in a place where you take a shower or a bath, the water is not flowing properly, we should be careful of this. If there's fear of the feet being dipped in the wastewater during ghusl, then postpone the washing of the feet to the end of the ghusl. Ensure that the mouth and nostrils are thoroughly rinsed twice. Okay, so what happens sometimes is the drain gets clogged. Marcus knows about this, right? Have you had to fix any?
Yeah.
You see, he's fixed a few. If anybody needs a clogged drain fix, please reach out to Brother Marcus. So if your drain gets clogged, while you're doing the ghusl or you're taking your shower, your feet are there staying in consistently dirty water. So the practice of many people is after they're done with their bath or ghusl, they get out, they let the water drain, then they wash their feet to make sure that their feet are clean now. Or as they're walking out of the tub or the shower, they wash their feet. So they wash the right one, put the right one out, wash the left one, put the left one out, to make sure that there's no impurities on the feet. Right? After performing wudu, pour water over the head thrice. This is, like I said, washing your body 3 times is from the sunnah. Thereafter, pour water over the right shoulder and thrice over the left shoulder. Then pour water over the entire body and rub the body. Like make sure we want to make sure we're getting all of the body, and if we're in an area where there's water is not plentiful, you're going to have to rub. Like if you don't have a lot of water for wudu, you're going to rub through, right? We don't have the luxury of being able to go like this and let the water flow all over. So you want to make sure you get everything. Okay. If the hair of the head are not plaited, it is compulsory to wet all of the hair up to the very base. If a single hair is left dry, ghusl will not be valid. If the hair of the woman are plaited, this is for the women, she is excused from loosening her plaited hair, but it is compulsory for her to wet the base root of each and every hair. If she fails to do so, then the ghusl will not be valid. As for the men who grow long hair and plait them, they are not excused from leaving their hair dry. That it's not allowed. What if one, like this much of my body stays dry during ghusl? Is it accepted? So I have to make sure that the whole body is washed, right? It is mustahab, preferable, to clean the body by rubbing it. All the parts of the body should be rubbed with the hands to ensure water has reached all the parts of the body and no portion is left dry. Because this is very important. Like I just said, we shouldn't even come towards the masjid, right? Now, if we've done ghusl and we haven't done it properly, we left our feet dry, or we left our head dry, we didn't want to wash our hair. What happens if I pray? Is my prayer... So Arsalan is telling us, because I didn't do it properly, my salah is not valid. So we have to be very careful in these things. Rings, earrings should be removed to ensure that no portion covered by them is left dry. Some people, what they do is, if they're wearing a ring, they don't want to take it off, they'll move it around to get the water underneath. But obviously it's best to take it off to get everything washed properly. Ensure that the navel and the ears are all wet. Now, one of the things which the ulama, they instruct the people to do is wash the ears, put the finger through the ears to get the ears wet, because, maybe the water won't go in. And to clean out the belly button, because there may be some lint or dirt or something inside, to make sure that we're getting every inch as clean as we can. On completion, one should confine oneself to a clean place. If the feet have been washed while performing wudu, it is not necessary to wash them again. Dry the body and then dress as quickly as possible. We should not walk around unclothed inside of our house. Our Shaykh Hazrat Mufti Taqi Uthmani Sahab, he has such adab. He's in Pakistan, in Karachi, and many people, they listen to him and they listen to his instructions and his teachings. He has so much adab that he doesn't say words like naked, or he will say words in Urdu like, unclothed, to not even say such words. So we should, even when we're talking, we should try to be as proper and have as much adab, etiquettes as we can when we're talking. So we should use words like unclothed or not in a state of being clothed, things like this. If one recalls after ghusl that a certain portion of the body is left dry, it is not necessary to repeat the ghusl. Merely wash the dry portion. It is not sufficient to pass a wet hand over the dry place. If one has forgotten to rinse the mouth or the nostrils, these too must be rinsed when recalled after ghusl has been performed. It's very simple. It's nothing crazy. Okay, so some of the masail related to ghusl. It is permissible to leave the hair dry and wash the rest of the body if it is harmful to apply water to the head due to some sickness or ailment. However, once the person is cured of the sickness, it is wajib, close to fard, to wash the head. Water has to flow over it. It is not so if somebody has a part of the body where maybe they got burnt or hurt or a wound or something like that, you can wash over it. You don't have to take off the bandage or something like that. That it may be harmful to your body. Maybe pus will go in, or maybe you may get some bacteria or something. So just pour water over it. So it is preferable to clip the nails before we do ghusl, so that water gets in properly. The mustache should be trimmed regularly so it does not overlap with the upper lip. It is compulsory for a person who is in a state of janaba to perform ghusl.